My name is Michael Dean Wilson. I'm a performer from London. In this show, I am in the ensemble, and I also have a little role called Rod. He is Lena's agent / publicist, so you'll see me pop up with some lines here and there, but mainly in the ensemble.
Marvellous. I always start my interviews by going to your beginnings, really. When did you know that you wanted to be a performer?
Oh gosh, from birth.
Yeah.
I remember watching so niche High School Musical.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not niche actually.
No.
Yeah, I watched High School Musical, and I just thought that was what I had to do. And then my parents sort of put me in different dance classes, stagecoach, all of that, and then just happened from there.
And how do you kind of reflect up to where you are now with your career, with the journey you've had so far?
Well, I started quite young in terms of professional musical theatre. A lot of people go and start their training at 18, like the London schools. I started when I was 16, and I left when I was 18, and I'm only 20 now. Yeah. So it's been quick and short, but also it's been great. It's been amazing.
And then, as you say, Singin' in the Rain is where we are now.
Yeah.
What kind of first drew you to this production in particular?
Well, I've always been drawn to Kilworth. I remember when I first left college 2 years ago, I had an audition for Half Sixpence, and I didn't get it, and I was devastated. I was devastated, and then I thought, I have to do it. It's like a bucket list. Oh, you can hear it in the background.
Right.
I thought I have to do Kilworth at some point. So very grateful to be here now.
And I'm Singin' in the Rain. It's a classic. Obviously, the film is the one that people love and know.
Yeah.
When did you kind of first come across it, do you think?
Well, I've always sung the song. I remember when I was younger, I did like a dance recital, and we did a tap routine to Singin' in the Rain. Yeah. Must have been like 13. Yeah. And then I remember watching the film, and I've watched it ever since. It's one of my favourites. It's one of my favourite classic films, so very grateful to be in the show now.
And then what's it like when you are doing a classic show, when you're kind of getting that chance to put your own stamp on a character that's in a film that's so beloved and so classic? Well,
I've had quite a mixed bag of shows so far, because my first show when I left college was Gypsy, which is like golden age, and then this is probably the most legit one I've done. But the last show I did was Beetlejuice. So it's just been crazy. But this show is so lovely because you feel elegant, you feel classy. And it's just great to get to be a part of it with so many amazing other people in the cast.
And then how have you prepared for this run? Obviously, when you're in rehearsal room, it's different to obviously when you're here and in the elements. How have you prepared for that?
Well, nothing could have prepared me for the hay fever.
Oh, I bet.
The medication is strong. But I mean, we had a really short rehearsal period, 3 weeks. But we did it. We did it, and then getting here, putting the costumes on, feeling the actual atmosphere is what made it what it is, and I think it's a really great show. I do.
And then do you have to like prepare differently each day? Like obviously, the last couple of days it's been red hot, hasn't it? Like, and obviously today it's a little bit cooler. But do you have to prepare differently for that?
Well, luckily, we have a very gracious wardrobe team. Yesterday they let us take our jackets off for the 8-minute ballet, which was lovely. And I mean, you do have to mentally prepare yourself to sweat a bit more. Cake up the powder.
I think the first night I came to Half Sixpence, it was like one of them. It was 30+ nights. So I got it how they get for like period costumes. And like,
well, thankfully, I think we've peaked with the heat for a little bit anyway. I know, touch wood.
And how do you like prepare for a performance, like before a show? What's the mental space? How much time do you need to get into the space in your head for the show?
Well, it's different for every show. For this show, we do a lot of physical movement in Act 1, but not dancing. But then in Act 2, the dance comes like a storm. So I suppose we have to keep ourselves warm throughout the show, which isn't hard on days like yesterday when it was boiling. I find that when I wear a wig in the show, and I'm not fully in it until I have my wig on, and that's about half an hour before the show. So I do spend that half an hour in the dressing room, focusing, and then in the interval we play ping pong, table tennis.
There's a lot of kind of getting the accent on, is it, and kind of getting that. Is that when you start?
Yeah. Well, for this show, there's so many little small parts. So then I have like my Rod character is sort of like a brassy, all there kind of guy, and then but it's fun because when you're in the ensemble and you have the smaller parts, you get to play around with little sort of it's really fun.
Then obviously you got the immediacy of the audience here, whereas like traditional theatre, you not always can see them, can you? Here you can. How's that like? You picking out people when you're on the stage?
Yeah, I've never had that experience before. I remember the first time we had an audience, it was like very much, wow, they're right there, especially the front row. And then even towards the end of the show, they don't disappear. Even when it does get dark outside, they're still there. But I suppose I've learned now. I mean, it's only been a week, but I suppose I've learnt now to zone them out slightly.
I suppose it's quite nice though when you do get that, when you have got someone that is having a great time as well. On the flip side, like someone that's sometimes obviously someone can...
Especially in the finale, when we can see them in the finale, they've got their blankets trying not to get soaked from the rain.
So then why do you think this show remains, obviously the film, as we say, is iconic. Why do you think this show remains so popular to now?
Because it's so joyous.
Yeah.
A lot of older legit musicals have plots that aren't so easy to understand, or plots that aren't very don't lend themselves to modern times. Whereas this, I feel like it's quite simple, and it's really beautiful, and I think people enjoy it because it is just so joyous.
Yeah. And obviously it's set in like a Hollywood studio.
Yeah.
If you could turn any other Hollywood classic film, it can be a modern film, into a musical, what would you turn into a musical?
The Hunger Games.
Yeah, that's a great show.
That would be a great musical.
I thought they've talked about it, haven't they?
Well, yeah, they've got the Mockingjay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Hunger Games would be a good one.
You can be in it.
And maybe I'll write it.
Okay. You can just stranded on a desert island. You can take 3 soundtracks. 3 you're going to take with you.
Oh. This is hard, Mark.
Yeah.
This is really hard. For the joy, Hairspray.
Yes. On it.
For the ballads, The Notebook.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been listening to The Notebook?
Only because my friend told me to.
Yes.
I was slow to it, but it's all over TikTok, isn't it? Like Joy Woods, she's everywhere.
She's amazing. Hairspray, The Notebook. And something classy, 42nd Street. That's my favourite show. Yeah.
This a question that's come from one of my team members. I'll ask it now. If you were a biscuit, what biscuit would you be?
Oh,
and why?
Custard cream, without a doubt.
Why?
Maybe just because it's my favourite biscuit, actually.
Yeah.
So many layers to pull back, you see.
Yeah, so you were on that. You were straight in.
I know.
I was prepared. I have no idea what the answer would be for me. Kind of, what keeps you inspired? Like when you're having a down day and you've got a show to do. What kind of keeps you inspired to get into that space in your mind? I'm doing the show. I know it's a job, but
yeah. Putting my headphones in and just whacking on anything that I'm feeling that day. I have quite a varied playlist, so just anything. I like to watch strictly professional performances because they just give like all the energy that I need, and that inspires me to get through. And also talking to my parents. My parents are everything, so talking to them, they keep me grounded.
I am Julia J. Nagle. I use the middle J because there is another Julia Nagle. Who is I think she's a keyboard player in a band called The Fall, so you know. I play 2 fun characters in the show. I play Dora Bailey, who is a reporter, / she's got her own column, / she interviews people on the red carpet, / she's a gossip queen. She can make or break careers. But I also play Dora Bailey, who is a speech therapist, who has to be very patient, not giving the game away, with a certain student of hers during the show. So yes, and they are both fun people to play, very different, and
Where did your kind of career begin, and when did you know that you wanted to be a performer?
Oh, fun. Where did my career begin? I was very, very shy as a child. But I did get taken to like baby ballet class. I was so shy I wouldn't even join in, and I used to sit and watch at the side. So eventually I think my folks thought, okay, this is getting embarrassing now, we'll take her away. But I also wouldn't leave. So long term, after watching from the side a long time, I then started to join in. And then when I left home when I was 11 to go to stage school, and while I was there, I sort of came out of my shell. Yes. And so into stage school at 11 and out at 21, fully institutionalised, showbiz through and through. Bing! So, but yes, as I got older, I started dancing less and definitely leaning towards being a character actress who sings rather than all of the dancing. So, and I think I sort of managed to kind of tailor my training to my needs at the time, you know. So yeah.
But Julia can dance, and you'll see that tonight.
Yes.
Or will you? Do we want to give the game away?
Mystery. And then for you, when was your first kind of encounter with Singing in the Rain?
Well, I don't know whether to be honest about this or not. No, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Mostly for me, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm from the Lake District and it's in the middle of nowhere, but generally I never know each show that I do. So I have never seen Singing in the Rain on stage. I think I've seen clips of the film, but I did not know the show. So in the first week of rehearsal, I was like, oh, there's some really nice songs in this. Like, true story.
Yeah.
You know, You Are My Lucky Star, beautiful. Would You, beautiful. You know, and there was some songs I just had never heard in my life, and B, there was some songs that I was aware of that I didn't know were in this musical. Fast forward to technical rehearsal, you know that it's called Singing in the Rain. You know that.
Yes.
You know that it's going to have some rain. You also know that. And that as you're sort of contractually obliged to have rain.
Yes.
But running towards a bank of water in a yellow Mac with your umbrella for the first time made me squeal with delight so loudly, I cannot tell you. And I thought that I would get over it. I honestly did. I thought that it, you know, it's no biggie. We're in week 2 now. No. Thrilled every time, running towards the bank of water, knowing that you're going to get soaking wet, singing in the rain, and you got to choose which colour brolly you were, and I love orange, and I've got an orange brolly. It's like all my Christmases have come at the same time. So
specifically looking at that moment. That's the one moment.
You can't miss it.
Also at that moment, I get to be partnered with the one and only Mark Curry, and so his delight and my delight at the same time, double delight, and we get to face each other. We're laughing, we're singing, we're getting wet. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
For both of you, do you kind of do any research and, like, necessarily watch the film again, but would you kind of do that when you are preparing for a role?
I quite like that everything is always fresh and new for me, and that I'm coming into it without any old shenanigans, like, or somebody else's version, or just everything. If you don't know the show, then you're always coming at everything fresh. So while I do sometimes think I'm on the back foot not knowing shows before I go into them, there is like a freshness that you can then bring what you have to it, and you're not tempted to sort of borrow bits off other people or be swayed into another version. But I don't know, correct me if you think.
Well, no, I mean, in the ensemble, you kind of have no choice but to have an open mind, because you have no idea what the choreography is going to be. You can study personas as much as you want in the way that you're going to hold yourself in the moments and those kind of things, but you just have to have an open mind, don't you, and just be willing to take on different types of choreography.
And obviously we've touched on it a little bit, but the open air element, but also the element then of the rain. What's that like throw you guys when you're preparing for the show and
But
knowing
you
it's
love
going to
the
be
rain.
there?
The rain, the real rain, or the rain in the show?
In the show.
The rain in the show. Oh, well, I've chatted about the rain in the show. You go now.
I spend the majority of the number of Singing in the Rain, the finale version,
Yeah.
in the rain. So I don't know if I feel too fondly about
Michael feels differently, doesn't he?
I end up drenched.
Yes.
However, on days like yesterday, it was lovely. It was so cooling.
And I have a different thought about the open air theatre. Maybe I shouldn't share, but I was on stage the other day. True story. I was in a party scene holding my glass of ginger beer, meant to look like champagne, inside a theatre tip. And I got stung on the hand.
Yeah.
On stage.
There it is.
And I had to be really brave. I was like, this is showbiz. You're trained for this. Yes, it hurts, but carry on. So yeah, then I came off and went in the wings.
It was a wasp.
It was a full-on wasp. It was still attached to my hand, hanging out of my hand. But yes, so that's different in an open-air theatre. You don't expect that to happen. There's literally things thrown at you that are external elements.
We had bats.
We had bats.
We had bats backstage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How?
Long-eared bats.
Long-eared. Julia knows all about the
I
bats.
love that.
Oh, brilliant.
It's so lovely.
But I was saying to Michael, you've got the immediacy of the audience that you may not necessarily get in a traditional theatre. How is that for you when you can see that reaction there and there?
Well, your first entrance, you're right there.
Yes, I am right there, right opposite them. I don't enjoy seeing people's faces because I don't like to know people that I know are in. I'm one of those people that likes to perform for strangers. So, to cut this off at the pass, I don't wear lenses for the show. In the hope that everyone will just blur and everyone will be a stranger because I actually can't see them. I don't know if it's going to work if I do have a friend in for real. But yes, definitely I would say that in the matinees it's such a different feel, standing there and seeing the audience right there and not having the cover of darkness that we're used to. That's really, really different, really different. So yeah.
Does that keep it alive for you? But I know you're only like a week into the run, but does that keep it alive when you've got a daytime show and an evening show that's kind of completely different?
Very different.
Yeah.
Do you think it's different?
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's easier to sometimes fall out of a character when you can't see anything in the abyss in front of you.
Yeah.
But in this show, when you can see someone staring directly in your eyes, you're like this. Very on. Your on switches on. Yeah.
Fully in.
Yeah.
Marvellous. I'm going to ask Julia these two questions I've already asked you.
Okay.
Firstly, what biscuit would you be if you're a biscuit and why?
Oh, crikey! What biscuit would I be and why?
You got a big question.
I mean,
Setup, isn't it? Sorry,
lovely Mark Curry,
Come in,
ex-Blue
come in,
Peter
come in.
fame.
hello.
Here he is.
chair.
The one and we've already talked about the one and only.
Oh
Mark
my
Curry
God, have you
today.
really?
Yes. I was discussing how beautiful it is running into the rain with you. On a nightly basis, but we were just about to say a favourite biscuit. No, not favourite
If
biscuit.
you were a
If I
biscuit,
was a biscuit, what?
Be prepared. You're going to get this
prepared.
All the
question.
questions.
This is intellectual, isn't it?
Yes, well, only
Highbrow.
because I've just eaten 3 of them this afternoon. Shh, don't tell anyone because they're many, many calories. But Marks and Spencer's do these Florentines that are so good, with chocolate on one side and all the nutty and the chewy on the side. So because they're nutty, I would say maybe a Florentine.
Because, you know,
Well, why not? There you go there.
I also need to run at some point and do my makeup.
Yes.
So.
that's what she does, because she wears a lot.
Go in.
And I wear quite a bit. Don't I?
Loads of things.
You're getting abused. Mark, hello.
Hello,
Thank you
hello.
for your time. I'm also Mark. So,
Okay.
Mark, sorry.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Can you please introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your role in Singing in the Rain, please?
Okay, so I am Mark Curry, and I play the studio boss, R.F. Simpson. We don't know what R.F. stands for.
Yeah.
We've had a few suggestions. We've
Roger Federer.
Roger Federer. I'll take that. Being a tennis geek, that's a good
That's a
one.
great one.
Roger Federer Simpson. Yeah, it's a supporting role, shall we say.
Yes.
And what is interesting is that in 1994 or 5, can't remember, I played Don Lockwood.
Yes.
Nothing like our fantastic Jack. And it's interesting this is what happens when you get to a certain age. It's the passage of time, you know. And there I am playing a supporting role and watching this young thing be brilliant every night. So it's actually quite a special show for me. That's really why I wanted to do it.
Yeah. We were just talking about how we've all come at the show, and so I was admitting that I'd never seen it before and I've never done it before, and so it's really interesting to hear you say that you have done it before, and you're a different part, and now revisiting it.
Yeah, because I remember it being one of the happiest experiences, and it is so far. Yeah. Again, because it's just a lovely, lovely, uplifting show, and it's just what we need right now, a tonic.
Of course. And then for you, what were your career beginnings, and when did you know you wanted to be a performer?
When I couldn't stop impersonating Cilla Black.
Yeah.
Or Emma Peel, who was the star of the Avengers we're talking the 60s.
Yeah.
So I used to go into the kitchen and say, Mother, can I have my tea? Look.
And she said, God's sake. Or I'd start karate chopping everybody and being down a ring. He's too young to remember. This one.
I know Cilla.
Do you know Cilla? Of course you do, mate. What's your name? Where'd you come from?
No, I was just obsessed with performers performing, and managed to get on telly when I was 10 years old. And I just never wanted to do anything else. And it's easy when you've got that passion, you know. The most difficult thing is when you don't know what you want to do. And I think lots of kids now, lots of young people go to university because they feel they should, but they don't know what they want to do. I think in probably all our cases, you know when you want to make it your career. You just know. You might have downtimes, but it's just like being an athlete or something. You know when you want to be an athlete, and you know when you want to perform. So
showbiz through and through.
Showbiz through and through, and you can't get rid of it. You try, but it won't go away. It won't go away.
When was, I know you say you've been in it, but when do you think your first encounter with Singing in the Rain would have been?
Watching the film.
Yeah.
Because it's been on a lot, and it seemed to have been on a lot when I was a kid. And I always thought it was just magical. The routines are great. The story is so good, because people don't realise that it's actually what happened when the talkies came in. The silent screen comedians or silent screen actors were often out of work because they just couldn't be as fantastic as they were when they were silent, and it was a real problem. And the studios had to keep up. You know, they had to do the musicals and stuff. So it is actually based on what really happened at that time. And I just remember it being a film that was joyous, and of course Gene Kelly, and then Eric Morecambe, who later did that routine, and that was fantastic on telly. So it's just one of those all-time great movies, really.
And then for all three of you, I know we've talked a little bit, how do you kind of get into the, I know you said about the wig and everything, getting that ready on, but how do you get into the characters before you go on stage? How's that for you guys?
I think for ladies, definitely getting the wig on and the makeup. And your costume, it's all layering. But then, of course, you've got the addition of all the rehearsal and your director's direction. So all of that layering comes together so that when you step out, you don't get confused who you're going to be. You know who you're stepping out to be, because you've got that wig on, that costume, you've rehearsed, you've got everything at your disposal in the film.
Yeah, well, I'm the same really, because obviously I don't wear as much makeup as you, but I do like to prepare. I can't just walk on stage, you know. And there's a hairstyle that we have to do. We have to flatten our hair down and part it and keep it short, and that's part of it. And then you put a little bit of base on or whatever you do, and that is when you start to prepare. I like to prepare. I also like to do a bit of American, because I'm Northern, as you can hear, and it's difficult. It is very difficult, and I don't know what American accent I'm using, but I really try, and I hear myself, and you have to really, you can't just go from larking about, or I can't, although I do lark about. I like to get into it a bit, so when we actually come down this part of the theatre for our entrance, and we stand and we hear the band doing the overture, and I just start to get into it, you know. I can't be talking about world problems or my problems. I like to prepare and jump about and get into it, really. It is about preparation, otherwise you walk on and you're not there. What about you?
Well, I've already kind of answered, but for me in the show, it's the wig and the costume.
Wig and the costume, yeah. And the warm-up as well. I mean, you all
I said warm-up,
massive warm-up.
So
preparation is everything. I think if you walk on without any kind of preparation, you're not there. You know, you do need to think about it.
We all come together before each show and have warm-up together, a physical and a vocal. and it's so important. It's not just warming the voice and warming the body, it's to sort of come together as a cast, as a family. Our company manager gives us, you know, notes or tells us things that we need to know, and to be brought together as a whole. I know in America they don't necessarily do a company warm-up, so the first time that they see each other in a show is on stage, and I just think that's a shame, because you know, that coming together before a show is really, really important, and it creates a sense of sort of togetherness and a family, and that we're all there for each other, so that when something happens in the show that might take you know, somebody on the hop, if we're all a family and we're all there together, to being there together for each other, then it's less of a stretch that someone just picks up that moment or somebody else is on, and then we're all there for each other, which we've had a bit of that lately through an injury and someone being poorly. So it's really lovely to have that as a company, that togetherness, you know.
You watch out for each other, big time.
And especially if you're playing directly opposite someone, you know, if you don't see them before the show, how do you even spark that flame? It's so difficult.
And does the venue being this kind of venue help? Because obviously you are kind of put together as a traditional theatre. You kind of you're in a city, aren't you? And you've got more freedom, whereas here you kind of can't roam about, can you? Does that help you guys?
I think it does actually, because I mean, for me, I feel like it's a little sort of summer camp, summer season. I've never done an outdoor venue before. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do it, and I'd heard so much about the venue, and it is truly lovely, because we have been able to, not during Technical Week, because it was like winter again, but we're all sitting outside and having our food and having a cup of tea, and you know, in the other theatres, you're backstage, you might not get a chance to go to somebody's dressing room or the green room. Here we're all outside in this fantastic 35 acres of beautifulness in Leicestershire countryside, and there's something very, very special about it. I think we're all enjoying that, you know, it's really great.
Marvellous. And we've talked about a little bit about the rain. How is it for you when you kind of first met the rain? What was that like?
I love it. It makes me, I am in hysterics. We both talk about this. There's something, because your brain is saying, because Julie and I, you've already experienced it, the doors open and it is a torrent of rain. It's not just a little trickle. And your brain is going, no, you shouldn't go out in this. You know, you should stay in and watch telly and have a cup of tea. But no, we can't cover ourselves in the brollies, because our director choreographer said, the audience want to see who you are. We've got our Paddington Bear yellow hats on, and we both have a little here we go, and I just start to laugh. It's joyous, and it's cold water. It's not freezing cold, but it's refreshing. So you come alive. You know, when you stand under a shower and it's quite cold, you just, so at the end of the show we're all hyped.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's fabulous. And the look, I mean, I can't see because my glasses are covered in water, because I wear some glasses on the show. But I can just tell they're all having a great time. It is a magic finale, it really is.
The immediacy of the audience, what's that like for you, watching that reaction, being there, where you can see it?
It's very unusual. We've all said this about seeing the audience, because in so many theatres, it's just dark. You know they're there, because hopefully they laugh or they clap or whatever. But here you can really see them, particularly during the matinees. And I'm wearing my specs because I'm short-sighted, so I can see them. And you can't get lost in that darkness. When you look out and you're doing your thinking, acting or whatever, you can see a face. And sometimes it might be somebody you know. That happened to me on the first night. I had some mates in and my partner was in, and I looked straight at them, not because I knew they were there, but they were there. So you've got to really concentrate. It means you've got to really be in it and in the moment, and not thinking about that. So it's a challenge. But they are there, they're very close to you, and you can sense them, and I actually really like that, because in the bigger theatres, as great as they are, you're just not really aware that there's an audience until it gets to the curtain call. But here, you know they're there, and sometimes when it's hot, they're sort of waving the programmes
or fainting.
Somebody fell asleep the other day. There's something in the front row like this, so you're aware of it. But it's good for us because we have to concentrate.
Yes. And you've only done this one, but if you were stranded on a desert island, you could take 3 musical theatre soundtracks, what are you taking with you?
Okay, I would take Company by Stephen Sondheim. I absolutely love it. Julia and I were both very lucky to be part of that years ago in London. Oh, just a great track, so definitely a Sondheim. I think I'd take Hello Dolly, because I do love it, and I actually would take the Barbra Streisand version, because I know everybody said she was too young, but I think vocally she was fantastic. What she did with that score and brought it to life. So that's 2. What else would I take? Oh, what else would I take? I'd take Wicked, because it's been a big part of my life, and it's a fantastic score. You know, Stephen Schwartz at his very best. So I would take Wicked, Hello Dolly and Company.
Yeah, I suppose nice mixes, both of you. Can you describe Singin' in the Rain in 3 words?
You go first.
Joyous, musical, because the music is great, and what is it when it comes across? You know, when it absolutely comes across the engaging or
Infectious?
yeah, that's a good one.
Well, we'll use that one together.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Take it together.
Infectious.
Infectious. I know it sounds funny with the type of musical that it is, but fiery. There's so many really fiery elements to it.
That's true. Edgy, a bit edgy. It is a bit edgy. Yeah, yeah.
And personal.
Yes.
With it is really personal with how close we are.
And glamorous.
Very glamorous.
You know, when the lights are
atmosphere.
on and there's a lot of sparkle. Lena's costumes. Lovely Jess Buckby is playing Lena. I mean, her costumes are absolutely fabulous. So it sparkles, it shimmers. The lighting here is great. So yeah, that's another one. That's about 25 words.
My final question for you both. Go for the big sell. Why should anyone who hasn't booked tickets yet book tickets to see Singin' in the Rain here at Kilworth House?
You cannot fail to enjoy this show. Even if you're somebody, I had somebody come on the first night who he said to me, "I've only come to see you because you're my friend. I'm not into musicals, particularly ones like this that everybody." He was a bit, and at the end he said, "I apologise." He said, "I had a great time. I had no idea what the story was. It's you can't fail but enjoy this show." And the songs start, and you go, "Is that really in Singin' in the Rain?"
And you know it.
Wow.
You forget that you know it.
So you just come and have a great time. It's you can't fail but have a great time.
I just think the cast that has been assembled and the calibre of talent in the cast is not one of which that you would usually find in the middle of nowhere, basically, and it is an incredibly talented cast. So I think that should be the reason that would bring you.
And the staging, you know,
Lee Proud,
Lee Proud,
Charlotte Gale
yeah,
are just geniuses.
yeah. Because it's not just the dancing, which is amazing. It's the staging, where everybody is. Everybody's engaged. They're all playing. Everybody's playing parts. You know, they're taking the top off and coming back on as somebody else. It's a whole company show. So, you know, there isn't a dull moment at all in the show.
And the music. Michael Bradley has led an incredible orchestra.
People can't believe it's a live orchestra because you don't see them. They're in a tent down there, but they really are live. Wow, are they live? And
they're great.
They're terrific. Yeah. It runs until the 28th of July.
There you have it.
Matinees at 2:30, shows at 7:30, and it's 2.5 hours of non-stop rain.